If you think you're going to put out a song and not do anything, just like go upload and have it go out and it work. I mean, it has happened for some people, I'm not going to lie, but that's just not the reality of it. You have to put the time and effort into getting into the right DJ's hands, artwork and visuals on point, creating some content around the release, whether it's footage, live clips, footage, or just meme kind of content, getting those co-signs from some of those blogs or playlists or YouTube channels. All those things will add up and help the song grow.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Headliner Mindset Podcast. Today's guest is responsible for helping put out some of the biggest songs in dance music. He is the director of Insomniac Music Group, which includes over 20 labels in their ecosystem, including Insomniac Records, Bassrush, Factory 93, Lost in Dreams, and more. This is Joe Wiseman.
Yo. What's going on?
What's up, brother? Welcome to the show.
Hey,
so stoked to have you on.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Stoked.
Yeah. It's been a long time, man, and I was trying to take a trip down memory lane to remember like where we got connected in the first place, which I believe was through the Discovery Project.
I believe it was. And
yeah.
This was probably a decade ago. So hopefully we remember.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. I think I was because I was in my head I was thinking that you were working with the Discovery Project because I was working to help launch it and was kind of some of the muscle behind it. But you were actually one of the artists that played.
I was.
Right? Yeah,
that's
so
right.
I didn't remember that part of it. For some reason, I was like, I thought we were working together with Insomniac, but this was before you were working for Insomniac. You were producing. You were an artist that submitted and won the Discovery Project.
Exactly, but later on, then we did end up working together on it from a business side, or the industry side. But yes, I did. I forgot about that. You just reminded me. That I was trying to remember how we connected in the first place. But yeah, I was a DJ before I got into the whole running a label side of things, and entered the Discovery Project in 2013. So it was like 1 year into Discovery Project and won it for EDC Las Vegas. So I think I was the same class as Say My Name, Dr. Fresch, maybe Keizo, or he might have been the year before, but all the homies were on it together. And yeah, won it, played. I was in a group with two other people and played Vegas and toured a little bit, and then soon realized I wanted to get a job in the industry. On the industry side of it, the artist thing it was fun, and I still feel like an artist in a certain way, but definitely prefer being the guy behind the guy or the girl in the DJ booth.
Yeah,
it's a good feeling to be there. Yeah.
What was it about being an artist that made you decide that wasn't for you?
For me, I'm a little bit of a homebody kind of guy, just like chilling on the couch. So I think the touring side of it, I'm not a huge airplane person, flying every weekend. It's a lot. So it takes a lot of endurance and energy, and it's a whole different way of living. I tasted a little bit of it and did a little bit of it, like soon after I graduated from college, and I was like, you know what? I think I'd rather be the guy behind the scenes, not necessarily the DJ on stage with my hands up. So it was just a decision I made, and I thought about it carefully because I did enjoy being the DJ and the center of attention and all that. But looking back at it, I'm really happy with the kind of route I chose and where I'm at now with it, and being able to still feel like I'm there on the stage with whoever's performing, but just in a different kind of way.
Yeah, man. It's interesting how we all kind of find our place, and I think that role of being on the road and touring, I mean, it's tough. Like, you got to love it. You got to be a road dog. You got to be down for that adventure. And I know a lot of artists that are like, man, I love making music and I love being in the studio, and I hate having to go on the road and tour, but this is how I make my money. So
that's how you make the money.
Can seem very glamorous from the outside, but yeah, when it becomes your job and you're doing that shit every weekend, it's not always as glamorous as people portray it to
When you
be.
get to a certain point, it can be glamorous, but yeah, it's a grind in the beginning.
Yeah.
Where I was at that time was we were still an opener support act, and it was long drives and back of the plane type of situation by the bathroom. So
Yeah.
it was not the PJ experience that you see on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it is a grind, and you have to be ready for it and want to do it. And no matter who you are or where you start, you kind of that's how you begin touring anyway. And my immune system isn't great, so I just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
stayed out.
I've had it suggested to me to be a tour manager, to go on the road, to be like a tour manager / life coach, while
Right.
I'm out there, just to help people keep their head screwed on straight. And I'm like, man, that's a brilliant idea, but I really like to get up in my own bed and go to the gym in the morning and have a certain
Right.
lifestyle. So I'm like, I love that idea. I think I'd be down. You just have to pay me a lot of fucking money to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, that's how we
Yeah.
initially met. I completely forgot. You just reminded me. I was like, I knew there was an early connection early on when I first kind of got
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
foot in the
Yeah.
door in the scene. Thank you for reminding me.
For sure, for sure. And then, the Discovery Project, because I came in when just the vision for it was still blossoming. And it was this idea of like, hey, let's create an ecosystem where we can develop artists. Pasquale's throwing these incredible shows at Insomniac, putting on these huge events. And then there was this bigger vision of like, how can we find new talent and foster them to also now get on these stages and to kind of help support that artist journey in a different way, which the Discovery Project was kind of the beginning of that. Like, let's do this talent scout competition, and then the winners of it will, get to play. And then the label came later. I wasn't around when the label started.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with the go from being a Discovery Project winner to then getting into being involved with the label side of things? Because you've kind of been there pretty much from the beginning of it, right?
Yes, yeah. I'm 9 years in at Insomniac now, so almost it'll be 10 next year. So actually, after winning the Discovery Project, about a year later, ended up working on the Discovery Project. So made my way, still worked at one company in between, part of Live Nation, but then made my way to Insomniac. Kind of took the lead on Discovery Project. I think after you left and a few of the others involved, kind of rebranded it and shifted it towards being a little bit more of a community platform for artists and not just a contest. So we had a blog aspect to it. Actually launched like this at that time. We were just releasing stuff on SoundCloud, like free downloads, so a label-esque type of situation, and then injected into like the radio platform that we were building at the time, Insomniac Radio, Night Owl Radio, which is Pasquale's radio show. So I was helping with Discovery Project and then also helping with the launch of those projects with Pasquale. And then at the time, actually, there was a label. It was being run over at Interscope. It was part of a major label system. So no one in the actual Insomniac office was running the label at the time. So Pasquale and I kind of bonded working on these other projects, and I think he respected and thought I had the ear that what he would want for the label to head up the label, and kind of gave me the chance to take the lead there. So brought the label kind of back in house, started running Insomniac Records internally, signing dope, cool undergrounds, crazy stuff at the time. Definitely not major label style stuff, and just switching kind of the trajectory of Insomniac Records. So this is like 2015, 2016. And then eventually we actually went independent in 2017. And that's when we were able to launch the music group. So it was just Insomniac Records, a single label for a few years. And then the music group really launched. So now it's almost, we're 6-7 years in. That's when we were able to launch all those different labels. So Bassrush, Dream State. We did joint ventures with Fisher, Chris Lake, Slander, launched artist imprints with them, a bunch of other things. We were able to expand it a lot after then. Yeah. So that was kind of the year after year kind of history of how it all kind of unfolded.
I didn't even know until today. I got on the website just to do a little research, and I pulled it up. I'm like, holy shit, there's literally over 20 labels underneath this umbrella of Insomniac Music Group. I knew of maybe 4 or 5, but I was like, oh yeah, Slander's label is under here, and I saw Group Chat, Gestures thing, and that's pretty cool.
Wax,
pretty, yeah, super, super cool ecosystem that you guys have created. And I'm kind of curious about, how does that play a role in the bigger chess game of Insomniac as well, right? Like I'm curious about the bigger picture of artist development here, really, because it's like you guys have the whole thing. You have the label to put the music out on. You also have a stage to put the artists out on. So, are you guys helping facilitate some of that development from just putting tracks out to also actually being able to get out there and play shows too?
Yeah, totally. The reason why we created all these individual brands and imprints is because they have their own audiences attached to them. So, we saw how other dance labels, their models were, and it was like multi-genre, trying to put all as much out under one umbrella as possible, but within one brand that's marketed a certain way. And we, based off of the infrastructure kind of Insomniac had, I was lucky to walk into that situation, is that we have all these individual brands that are catered towards different audiences, the Bassrush fans, the Factory 93 fans, the Dream Save fans, audiences. They're all different. It's all dance music, it's all electronic music, but they're all different. And they're all different ticket buyers or different audiences. You can see it at the shows. And so, it just sparked the idea of rather than trying to put everything out under Insomniac Records, just one label, one name, let's put it out under these different labels. And part of that, why we did that, was also for the development side. It was, initially these labels are really meant to be almost served like as a marketing arm for the festivals or shows or concerts and clubs. Now they've grown to be like legitimate labels in the game. But yeah, initially it was like only about focus on artist development. Who can we find? Who's new? Who's fresh? Who can we bring in and grow them internally by utilizing the resources we have here, releasing their song, putting it on the radio show, giving them a support slot at the clubs, and then working their way up to maybe co-headlining something at the clubs or concerts, finding their way into the festivals, building it that way, strategizing from all angles. So literally almost like a 360 deal, but we're not predatory or anything like that, where we're like trying to take advantage of artists or anything like that. It's really about mainly giving them all the opportunities that are out there that are possible internally here, which is a lot, because Insomniac is it's a big enterprise here.
Yeah, it's powerhouse. Yeah. And what is your role specifically as the director of the whole thing? So what's your day-to-day look like? What are you helping with and responsible for over there?
A lot, like overseeing my whole team. We have a whole team of people working across the operations of the labels, marketing, social, PR, promo, sync and licensing, publishing, making sure that the team has all the tools they need to be successful. I, in particular, focus in on a few of the labels on the A&R side and make sure we're signing the best new talent or familiar talent to our fans out there and putting out those records in the right way. And then also leaning on the team here internally, either the brand managers or the talent buyers for specific brands, having those conversations with them to make sure that we're also bringing in artists under those specific labels. So like a Bassrush or a Factory, stuff where I'm not necessarily the head of those brands, but working with the heads to make sure we're signing what we think is the best for them. And then strategizing, again, in that 360 way to how can we plug it into the radio? How can we plug it into the show side? Events, this, that. So kind of tying everything together into one, hopefully a solid machine that helps everyone out.
Yeah.
And really just focusing on doing whatever we can to help out artists. It's like very, very, we try to be as artist friendly, artist focused. Like we want to empower them, give them the tools they need, and make sure the records are successful. And then that leads to more and more people wanting to see them play live and making those shows good too, and pretty much a lot of different things.
Yeah. And that's something I always loved about my fairly brief, but I'd say intimate time of working with Pasquale and helping launch the Discovery Project. Getting to be kind of in the inner circle for a minute was the authentic, genuine desire to contribute to building this scene and helping artists grow and throwing just the best shows possible. Like I got to, it's like you never really know what goes on behind the scenes. It's like, are these people here just to like make a bunch of fucking money? And it's like, well, that is a consequence of it. But the real, I'd say, at least from what I saw, the real genuine desire there is like, how do we throw the best events and spread the most love and help people like grow and thrive in their lane, you know, as artists and also as fans. And so, yeah, it's cool to see what it's grown into since then in the last decade. Like just that, like what was just an idea really now has become a really strong ecosystem that I think is fueled by that genuine desire to help, you know, the best music rise and the best artists rise.
Totally. I mean, I think why Insomniac has such a hardcore following and fan base is because of the investment we put into the product we're putting out, you know? So I think people know that and they see that, and, you know, they know we're not cheaping out on things, and we try and put the best show together possible. I mean, you can tell by the stages, you know, at EDC. I mean, that it's a lot, you know? So yeah, I think we try and make sure everyone who works at Insomniac, we're putting our heads together to make sure that we're delivering, you know, the best possible record, song, club show, concert, festival, whatever it might be. Make sure that everyone can fall in love and would want to come back again, or listen again.
Yeah. So let's talk about what it takes to get signed, because I think that's a question that a lot of my audience is probably wondering. A lot of people are out there, they're grinding on their tracks, they're building their audience, learning how to, you know, create their brand and get their stuff out there. So, you know, obviously getting to have the support of a powerhouse like the Insomniac machine behind you would be so cool and such a dream for so many people. You know, what are you guys looking for when you sign artists, and what makes you say yes to bringing somebody on?
It's a great question, and we get asked it a lot. There's a lot of artists out there, you know, and a lot of demos all the time. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
Yeah,
how
many demos are you guys going through like a week, would you say?
It's endless. It's a lot.
Yeah. So what makes somebody stand out of the endless sea of people pitching you every day?
You would think I would have always the right answer for that, being the one that's kind of heading up the A&R process here. But, you know, the music needs to be good, obviously, first and foremost. Like, that's the most important thing. Don't want to take that away from anyone. And also, you know, when we get to that point where we're listening to the music, no matter who you are, I mean, I've turned down songs from some crazy names. That needs to be first and foremost, you know, the best thing that you could work on and put out and feel comfortable with sharing. But on the other side of it too is that we look at the brands that the artists are, you know, the artist brands and what they're putting out, what they're marketing, what they're doing on socials, what they're doing on the show side, the live side, what they're creating beyond just the song, the actual like MP3 and wave that they're sharing with us, you know? It's important because that's how songs are marketed now. It's not just an audio, you know, experience. It's a whole visual audio marketing, this whole 360 experience is what I would call it. So, you know, we look at that with the artists, and if we feel like this, whoever it might be who's submitted or is in conversations with us has, you know, that little oomph, you know, that little extra, we'll get behind it and we'll pump in whatever they need from our end to help grow it even more. So it's really about, you know, showcasing to the best of your ability everything that you can put on the table, not just the music, but everything. Like, this is my plan here, this is my plan there on the live side. I want to, you know, go on a tour here. I want to do this on a mix series. I want to hop on podcasts every week with you. You know, things like that. It all comes together, and it helps. In the end, it will help your music, and it will help get your sound out to more and more people. So, you know, we obviously, like, again, the music is the most important, but we do look at all these other things as well when we're thinking about who to sign or who to bring on or who to get behind as an artist.
Yeah, and that makes sense because there's a lot of great music out there, and that's the entry point, right? Is having a great song, and then what do you have beyond that? The thing that I heard there was also really having like a vision and a game plan. It sounds like having a bigger picture idea of what you're really trying to build, rather than just like, hey, I want to put this song out. Like, okay, you're thinking
we have the ability. Yeah, we have the ability to do that. We do sometimes. It's like the song is so good, we just put it out. But if we're doing like a little bit of a longer term plan with an artist,
Yeah.
we do want to hear what their vision is. Like, what's your 3 month, 6 month, 12 month plan? What are you going to do? What other labels are you releasing on? We actually do mostly non-exclusive deals,
Yeah.
unlike a lot of labels. I think it's the best way to work with an artist. We don't want to force them to only release with us. That's just not our
Totally.
motto.
Yeah.
I think it's not really artist friendly at all. Some songs fit better on different labels or, whatever it might be. So what's your plan? Are you going to release, two this year on Black Book, one on, Repopulate, Catch and Release, whatever it might be, and then, three with us, and then how can we, work around on the festival side or show side, what shows tie into those releases. So really creating that whole plan that works together that will then you go back and you say, wow, we had that conversation a year ago, and then you're like, everything kind of unfolded the way we wanted to.
Yeah.
So, just throwing darts at a dartboard, honestly, it sometimes works for a select few, but I'm always more about creating that calendar, that schedule, that process. And I've seen it work on a lot of people, like the Malp's of the world, the John Summits. I mean, that was very strategic about how they grew or how they were growing as artists. LPGOB too. It was a lot of thought and process went into how they were releasing, what shows they were doing, all that type of stuff. So
yeah. And I think that's really great for the audience to hear, because a lot of times we get caught up just looking 30 days ahead, right? Like maybe I have a goal of I'm just trying to put out a track like, every month or so, but it's like I think a lot of people are maybe just finishing a song and then putting that one song out and then working on their next song and then putting that next song out, and they're only just going in this couple weeks at a time process, as opposed to really looking at, what am I doing over the next 12 months? And do I have, I've heard a lot of people talking about the importance of having a quantity of music done, because then you can plan out, like, cool, I got 10 songs done, I got 20 songs done. Now I can map out my year and obviously,
totally.
keep making music. But it seems like the more kind of higher level artists and managers and labels that I talk to, they're usually, sitting on a bit more of a bank of tracks and then having these longer term, 6 to 12 month game plans that they're unfolding, which really, I mean, this is this is when you're stepping out of just, I'm an artist that's just putting out music, like you said, throwing darts at the board, versus I'm running a business and I have a business plan, and this is my product that I'm selling to the marketplace, and this is the plan that we're executing. I'm curious for you, when you're talking to artists, are they coming to you oftentimes with a bank of tracks, and are you talking about more than one song, or you know what I mean? Are people just like, hey, here's the one song I want to sign, or is it more like, hey, here's my 10 songs and let's create something together?
It's more of the here are 10 songs, what do you think is the best plan? I would say the bigger names, they're like, here's the one song.
Yeah.
Here's the one song I got for you guys. But yeah, a lot of the acts we're working with, again, most, I would say 95% of the acts we're working with are development, and we're building them along the way. It's more, I think they now see what we can do here at Insomniac and how we can build an artist in a lot of different ways. So I think they feel more comfortable sharing more music to get that feedback from us internally, from my team and everyone else in the building, about what we think might be the best strategy, like these three songs, and then pairing it with those three shows. You know what I'm saying? So creating that long-term plan with them, that what we can provide here. And again, I always tell everyone, Insomniac can't do everything. Insomniac is a big company. Like, we're the biggest dance brand in America, if not the world. But you do have to work with more than just Insomniac. Again, so going back to that non-exclusive deals on our side, work with other labels. It's the best thing you can do, or work with other promoters. Use this as a resource to get those, to lock in those other deals and situations. But you need to look also beyond Insomniac to create that plan for yourself.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And so what's the process for somebody if they had a little catalog of music and they wanted to, pitch themselves? Like, how does that best look for an artist? What's the demo pitching process for you guys?
So it can go about a few different ways. If you have a manager or even an agent who knows us and is familiar with, has worked with us before on other artists, a direct email from them is a great setup. It's like it's a cosign from someone that we've already worked with. So obviously we don't want to rule out people that don't have any of those relationships. We want to give them the opportunity too. So we do have, submission portals online that you can submit to. We do try to get to it. But honestly, the platform that we do push those artists that, like, oh, I don't know anyone who knows anyone on Insomniac, is Discovery Project. We want, submit to those. We run, like, last year, I think we did 15 or 16 contests, and this year we're going to do more. So,
oh damn,
a lot
so
of
you guys are doing a lot. So the contests aren't just for shows anymore. When we started, it was maybe like 2 or 3 a year, and it was like just for like the big festivals to get like a slot on a festival kind of a thing. So what if you're doing that many now? What's that look like?
Well, whilst Insomniac's doing a lot more concerts and festivals and stuff.
True.
But we do, we attach it to pretty much all of the festivals. So now you have, your countdowns, your Beyond Wonderland SoCal, your Beyond Wonderland Gorge, your EDC Vegas, EDC Orlando, so it does add up. But then we are going to start teasing it at the clubs too, probably I don't know. The team's working on it, so I don't want to give an exact date. But you definitely think it makes sense for us. We tested it at EDC Orlando about doing Discovery Project at the clubs. So that's something we want to implement as well. And yeah, honestly, that's just going back to your original question. That's, we suggest people enter that. It's a great opportunity for your music does get listened to. I know people are like, oh, you don't listen to my song. Sometimes we don't log into the SoundCloud thing. Every song is listened to. It's a great opportunity to get your track heard by the A&Rs here. But yeah, I definitely suggest that. And then also going back to like having someone sending it in for you, doing the best you can to the best of your ability to build a team around you that can help make those connections for you. So, you don't need a manager off the bat. I'm not suggesting that everyone needs a manager. Having a manager, though, does help a lot. That manager knows someone who knows someone who knows that one of the A&Rs here. It does help, Yeah. Or having an agent. I saw Ben was on your podcast, having Ben Hogan shouting us saying, check out this demo. It helps a lot. So not everyone's able to get those, opportunities with those people. So I understand, but if you can start slowly and build your way up to that, it's always going to help.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can vouch for listening to all the demos, because I remember we would sit there for hours and listen to 300 songs in a row of Discovery Project submissions. And the one thing I'll say about that, I'd love to hear your insight too, of when you're listening to demos and you hear so many in a row that oftentimes just kind of, there's a lot of stuff that kind of sounds the same. When somebody has something that's different, it stands out so drastically, almost because of the ear fatigue of like, all right, I've just been listening to all of these demos, and all of a sudden somebody just does something that's a little left of center, and they're using a sound that you haven't heard, or it's like just breaking the rules a little bit. Like, oh shit, who's this person? Who is this? I gotta go. I'm gonna go check them out now. At least that was always that was always my thing. I was always excited just to hear something different because it catches your ear. It's so obvious.
You would almost think that it would be like the opposite, like, you're burnt out, but you do, just to be honest and laying it out there, being transparent, there is a lot of demos that are just not good, not great,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
so you do hear, when you hear something that is good, you do hear it, more so than even when we're doing our like normal label A&R sessions with like legitimate artists, when we're listening to 10 to 20 artists and they're all like pretty good, but like there's one that stands out a little bit more to be signed to like the main label or something like that. With Discovery Project, I mean, if your song, if it's good, we'll hear it and we'll know it's good. It is hard though, because there's only 1 or 2 winners per competition, so it's a tough thing to break through the crowd and and hit that number 1 spot. But when you do, it's worth it. I think so.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you this: there's obviously the genres that are very established and killing it right now. Like techno is huge, right? Like everybody loves techno. House music is obviously killing it. What's next? Is there a genre or a sound that you see, like if you're looking out into the ocean and you can see the wave coming that's like way out there, do you have a feeling of what's next, or just what is maybe surfacing and bubbling that isn't quite at that huge place yet?
Yeah. I think it's taken a really long time. But I think drum and bass is getting very, it's becoming a big deal here in the States finally. Obviously, it's been an international thing forever, but just never was able to really break through. And I think artists, these newer drum and bass acts are doing are producing in the right way, and some of the older chasing status and stuff like that. They're just the way that they're making these tracks is just a little bit more accessible for like the U.S. audience, and I think it's going to have a huge moment here in the next year or two. You can definitely see that infiltrating the bass scene, the bass music scene.
Yeah. What label do you guys do drum and bass on? Is that Bassrush?
Bassrush.
Yeah.
Bassrush, yeah.
Yeah. I'm so glad that was your answer, because like this last year I never liked drum and bass, and then this last year I've just become obsessed with it. I fucking love drum and bass now. Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's coming. It's fucking cool.
It's coming, and I've been into drum and bass forever since I got into this stuff. So I'm happy to see it too. I just can tell that the way that the productions are just a little bit more like U.S. friendly.
Yeah,
I don't know what exactly that means, but it just sounds like the U.S. audience can get behind it a little bit more now.
I think I'm a great example of that. I never really liked it until this last year. I don't know what it is. It's like, the beefiness of the production is like a little different, a little more
big vocals.
Yeah. It's like a lot of poppy kind of elements to it.
Anthemic.
Fuck yeah. Right. All right.
So that's a big one, and then I'll give you one from the other side of the spectrum. And I can't give everything away, or else that's giving away our secrets. But
I get it.
On the house side of things, I definitely think the global sound, the Afro house, Latin house has had its thing for a while now. But just like the global house music sounds, I don't want to just label it just like Afro house or whatever it might be. I think I like to call it just like global house sounding music. It's definitely already on the rise. It's been on the rise again. This is something US, it always hits late. So like you can see what's moving in certain places. Honestly, I see like the Kind Music guys. They're like the new Swedish House Mafia in a way. What they're doing is pretty awesome. Black Coffee, another example. That sound, that style. I think some people will just like grow out of like the aggressive phases and want to like chill out and relax and like have that poolside music, and I think that's hitting that audience, and it's growing. A lot of these tech house fans are kind of getting more into that, or the bass house fans. So it's a huge scene as well, and I see it also coming over here. It's already a thing in Europe and elsewhere, Ibiza and stuff like that, but it's making its way here now with a lot of artists making doing stuff in that realm.
I have a old friend, a good buddy, Sean, who has a project called And Friends. I don't know if you've ever seen them before.
Yeah.
But they've been collaborating with artists from Africa. And it's like house music, but they're bringing in these African artists to sing. And it's popping. It's killing it. Like their social media's blown up, and then they're touring not in the States, but they're touring in like Morocco and all these like really, really cool, almost like burner parties, but they're massive, that are happening in Europe and these other places. And it's like, it's pretty fucking cool to see. Like, and I love it. The music is really, it's really fun and happy, and I don't know. It's a different
good vibes.
Than the heavy, like the heavier kind of techno that's just like dark rave warehouse shit. This is like a fun energy. So yeah, they've been doing really good.
Right. Yeah. And just the percussion and the different elements of these songs, it touches to like the core of like where music started and stuff like that. Drums, focusing on that type of stuff. So and just like beautiful melodies, and it's definitely a thing now. And I think people, we go in waves of what we want and feel. We're in aggressiveness, or we want the laid back stuff, or So I think these different genres are hitting these different audiences in the right way at this time. But there's other ones too that are starting to pop too, like the Eurodance stuff. Obviously, it's doing its thing now, and trance, I think, is having a bit of a moment now too, and breaks again is kind of having a little resurgence here. So there's a lot of subgenres and I could go on, but yeah.
Well, let's talk about, how do you make a song successful? Not everybody is going to be lucky enough to get signed to Insomniac, or necessarily have the budget that Insomniac would have, but I would love to hear what kind of marketing strategies and tricks and tips you can offer for people that are releasing their music, whether that's self-releasing or releasing with a label, you still got to put in that work to make sure that people hear the tracks and hear the music, right? So can you walk me through, maybe like a basic kind of marketing strategy that you guys would implement for a new song that's coming out?
We usually have different tactics we use based off the song. Again, the genre, a lot. So there's a lot of factors in there that you could throw in there. But in general, when building the marketing plan, first of all, again, always making sure the music is right. Art and visuals are on point, make sense with the artist, the brand, the song itself. You don't want to make an album artwork that has nothing that just doesn't make sense with the sonic side of the song.
Yeah.
It's got to all connect in some way. Like, oh, I see that, and it makes sense with that song. So that's the first and foremost. Everyone has access now to pitch their song to DSPs. So Spotify for Artists, making sure you're doing that every time. It's important. It does work. Hitting release radars, discovery mode, all those types of things.
Can you explain that to me? I'm not actually entirely familiar with that when you say pitching it to DSPs, because obviously you can just, upload it to be released. It's going to just get distributed, but you're talking about pitching it to the playlists that they have. Like what does that actually look like?
So you have to either go through a distributor, or you can do a TuneCore type of situation and just put your music out, where it's like basically your self distro. But if you're working with a distributor or a label, making sure that either the distributor or the label are pitching on your behalf, they should have the access to be able to pitch to a Spotify or to an Apple Music or to a Beatport to try and see if your release can get the features, the looks, the extra little banners here and there that you'd want to help. It's basically an extra advertisement for your song. Yeah. Spotify, obviously, and Apple Music, very playlist focused, playlist driven. Being in some of those editorial playlists can, really help a song, get its you don't want to 100% count on those, but can really definitely get a song going in the direction you want it to get it in. So that's important, and if you don't have that, if you're just literally doing the TuneCore method, trying to, going through the artist portals, which is like a Spotify for Artists has that tool now where you can pitch your song on your own, no matter who you are, no matter what level. That's first and foremost when setting up the song. And then comes like the marketing and PR side of it, right? So marketing, what content can I make? Like, what's the best content plan for this song? Starting 2 weeks before release, 1 week before release, and then 1 week post release. What cool memes, what funny memes, what live clips of the song being played out, or me playing the song out, or just like a live stream of me DJing and getting that clip of the song that's going to help get it, promoted out there. What can I do on my channels to help hype up the song as much as possible? I mean, you've seen it more and more, like the pre-release hype content is what gets a song going, even, before it even comes out nowadays, especially like with TikTok and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's important. Not everyone's a content creator, so I get that too, but at least putting together 3 or 4 things that you think might help elevate or get the song out and in front of as many people as possible is going to be helpful. And then when it hits release day, your PR plan is important too. So, I used to do this back in the day. I'm sure you did too. I used to, reach out to blogs on my own. I'd email direct emails to a Dancing Astronaut or EDM.com or whatever it might be, trying to see if they'll just give me a little love, throw me in their weekly playlist or weekly top picks, trying to get a couple of those looks here and there. YouTube channels as well. A lot of these channels now have submission hubs. Submithub.com is also a great one because you can just literally drop your song on there, send it out to a bunch of blogs, a bunch of YouTube channels, and hopefully it gets picked up by a few of them, and they sometimes will add it into their Spotify playlist. So it helps the track get more and more eyes and ears on it as possible. So that's your like PR marketing strategy thing after release. And then post release is like, okay, I've done everything to get this release teed up and now it's out there. What else can I do now to keep it rolling? So it's creating that like phase 2 marketing, whether it's like, I'm going to try and put out a DJ mix on SoundCloud, or try and get my local radio station to air it, making those, finding that info at wherever radiostation.com email and just sending it, doing a cold email out to them, seeing whether a promo you can add on top just to keep the hype building and hype growing, trying to get it into DJ's hands, trying to find, if you don't have a DJ promo service working for you to send it out on an email blast to DJs, you going and digging on SoundCloud and finding those. Most DJs have it listed now. Finding the submission emails for demos and then sending out to those artists that you'd want to play your song. That'd be my like basic go-to. That's a 1 minute kind of rollout there.
Yeah. And really what it boils down to is putting some elbow grease behind your release and getting it into as many people's hands as possible. Right?
Exactly. That's what it comes down to. If you think you're gonna put out a song and not do anything, just like upload and have it go out and it work. I mean, it has happened for some people, I'm not gonna lie, but that's just not the reality of it. You have to put the time and effort into calculating on all those different things that I mentioned, getting into the right DJ's hands. Again, artwork and visuals on point, creating some content around the release, whether it's footage, live clips, footage, or just meme kind of content. Getting the cosigns from some of those blogs or playlists or YouTube channels. All those things will add up and help the song grow. So
yeah,
that'd be my suggestion.
I think it's important for artists to think about how many hours you put into making your music. You might put in, like dozens of hours onto a song, 100 hours maybe, into making this song the best song you can possibly make it. And then you put in 2 hours to marketing it and trying to get it out there. Doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. And a lot of people are questioning like, oh, why am I spinning my wheels? Why am I not growing as much as I want to? It's like, all right, there's this whole other side of it that you need to be paying attention to, and you need to be putting just as much effort, if not more, into. And in the beginning, if you don't have a label, like you got to do that yourself. If you don't have a management and a team, like you got to roll up your fucking sleeves and do it. And this is a point I continue to come back to, but this is why I think only 1% of people actually really, really go out there to like turn this into a full-time career, is actually treating this like a business and a career and having a business plan and a strategy and being just willing to roll up your sleeves and do the marketing and make the content, even if it's not fun, even if you don't want to be on fucking TikTok and you want to like, bitch and moan and complain about this whole other side of it. Like, cool, go ahead, but then stay in your bedroom for the rest of your life. Like, this is what it takes to get your shit out there. And it doesn't have to be.
We're not asking.
It doesn't have to be like.
It's not Scorsese.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Like, don't make it more complicated than it is. Like, make a spreadsheet, send out a bunch of emails, right? And you only have to make that spreadsheet once, right? Figure out some content. Like, it's not that hard. Get some, AI can make your artwork now. Like, it's getting easier and easier every day. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like you said, you dedicate time to your music. We're not even saying like, you don't even have to put as much time as you put into the music on the marketing or the promo side, but you do have to put in the time, or you do have to have your team put in the time, and then you do have the tools and resources. Like even the website I mentioned, submithub.com, it's so easy. You literally go, you put your song in, and you click what blogs you want to send it to, and it does it for you in 5 minutes. It's not a hard thing. Content, put a little camera in your studio or your bedroom studio if you just jamming out to your song. Like I've seen so many acts, just their, songs going off on Instagram or TikTok just because they literally put a camera up in their studio and they're just make a good little, good little 15, 20-second clip of them listening to their song in their studio. Simple. This is not, we're not asking for a, like I said, Scorsese film here or Spielberg, just a little content, fun things that are just going to help promote your song. And look, as it was different back in the day, but artists did have to think about different ways to promote their music. If you didn't have a music video in the 90s, good luck, right? So like, no one's asking for artists to be working on music videos now. It's just a 10, 15-second clip or something like that. Or even before that, flyers, handing out flyers, going to the record stores. So honestly, if you look really back in history about how artists had to promote themselves, especially small independent artists, it's gotten actually, there's more artists, which makes it more difficult, but the process of creating that plan and marketing is actually, in some ways you could say it's easier.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. This is where I actually want to dig into the mindset part of this podcast where, I came from working at Capitol Records back in 2008 was when I started, I don't know, 15 years ago, whatever that was. So it was a different era back then. And there was a long time ago, I don't know how long ago, maybe say 20 years ago, artists were complaining about needing to get a record label to be successful, where it's like you had to get a record label to fund you, to give you the upfront money to pay for your studio time and to pay for all of your marketing and to put out a CD, to create a CD and then have it shipped to a store to get bought. And so it was like, that was something to complain about, was like, oh my God, it's like, I can't win at this game unless I get signed, right? And now fast forward, now you have all the tools in the world. You can make all the music by yourself in your bedroom. You can do the marketing. You can make the content. You can do everything by yourself. And now artists are complaining that they have to do it all by themselves. And I like to bring that up because it really just boils down to what kind of person are you? You are either going to be a victim or you're going to be the captain of your own ship, right? There's always going to be something to complain about. And so you just have to really pay attention, because I see this too much of like, what are you complaining about? Do you think that this game is unfair? Because it's all perspective. It used to be unfair 20 years ago, right? Because you had to rely on somebody else to give you the money and the resources, right? Now you have all the resources and you don't need that anymore. And there's still something to complain about. And it's just depending on how you're looking at things. And when you really see yourself as, I am the captain of my own ship, this boils down to me and my work ethic and my creativity and really believing that I can do this and putting in the hours to make it happen and looking for the opportunities. Like, it's fucking possible. And this is where you get to draw the line in the sand. And I'm just encouraging anybody that's listening right now to really sniff out anything that you're complaining about. Any part of you that says that this game is unfair, or, whatever bullshit excuse you're coming up with for not doing the work, it's like, you got to get over it. All right. Because there's plenty of opportunity out there. And it's actually, once you get over that, it's actually not that hard. It can become fun.
Exactly. It should be a motivating factor, honestly. So like you said, like, look back. There's always been challenges along the way. You can't go into how different people deal with different situations, mental stuff, whatever it might be. But I think look at the resources you have in front of you now that were never there before as a huge tool for you to achieve what you want as an artist. It's really important to remember that and to take advantage of it. It's being an artist right now in 2024. It's pretty special, and everything that we just talked about over the last hour about all those different things you can plug into and to have your music heard by different audiences. It all just makes the difference. So yeah, it's great to hear your little analogy there, and now I understand why they call you the coach.
Yeah.
May have to hire you on.
Yeah, man. It's my framework for artistic success is, I think it boils down to basically 5 different pillars. And I put at the foundation of that pillar is mindset. If you don't believe in yourself, or if you're struggling to see the opportunity, if we get caught up in our head, like we have this thing in our brain, this self-sabotaging ego that, like, even though we have these big goals and dreams, it can also really shit all over us sometimes. And so, like, conquering that inner demon first is so important. Getting your mindset right is so important. And then you free up the space to actually, number 2, make really good music. Like we said, that's the entry point. You got to have really fucking good music. Number 3 is creating a good brand, creating a package to put that music in, right? You're going to be trying to get this music out there and basically selling it to a very oversaturated marketplace where there's a very, very high supply of this, pretty much a lot of the same sounding kind of product. So you got to put it in a nice, sexy package, right? Or it doesn't have to be sexy, but something fun and cool and interesting and different and unique and engaging. This is such a huge part that people skip over, because they go straight to number 4, which is marketing, right? A lot of people are just saying, hey, I made a song, now let me push it out there. It's like, all right, like you said, well, make sure that the visuals, are lined up with, like, the message of the song and there's some cohesiveness there. Like, that's where you got to also figure out that brand. So number 4 is marketing. Number 5 is networking. It's also, who do you know? Go out there and make those relationships. You're able to have this job now at working at Insomniac because you were good at networking. You were able to leverage your relationships, and create a position for yourself. And so, anyways, there's a lot of people that can help with the music, a lot of people that can help with the branding and the marketing and the networking, but this mindset piece is really where I feel called to serve, because it's like that's the invisible parking brake where you're trying to drive through life and wondering why you're not accelerating at the pace that you want to be, because there's oftentimes some limiting beliefs and some blocks that are there. So
you got it down.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what we're here to do, brother. I'm really stoked to see that we are, sharing in the same mission and path of supporting artists, and it's so cool to see what you've created for yourself over the last 10 years, and not only for yourself, but what you've created for the community, right? The impact that you've been able to make, the doors that you've been able to open for I don't know how many countless artists, to be able to come through this Insomniac machine and really get out there and, not only, live their dreams and develop careers for themselves, but ultimately like bring their art to the world and bring joy to people and bring smiles to people's faces and, music to the dance floors. Right. So I really want to, just commend you for the work that you're doing on your side of it. And it's an honor to be sharing on this path and this journey and this mission with you.
Thank you. Same here. Yeah, it's been, I feel like it's been my mission to do it, and I've tried my best and hardest, and I've worked really hard at it. And, even when I was like in high school, I was like, I want to be an A&R. I didn't really know what an A&R was, but just, I saw something about Jimmy Iovine somewhere. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So, it's really been awesome to be here. And I think Insomniac's it's just the best possible home for me, because I don't just work with an artist on the record side of it. I get to work with them on the live side as well, which is pretty unique coming from a label position. Most label people can't really say that. It's amazing, and I do, like, honestly, it's the best feeling ever. Like being on stage and watching an artist that you've worked with, from their early days, playing a song that you worked on together out in front of a crowd of 30, 40,000 people, and sharing it with them in that moment. It's pretty amazing. So I'm excited to keep doing it.
Hell yeah, brother. Well, cheers to the next 10 years. Let's keep kicking ass. And it's really, really great to see you, man. Thanks for hopping on today.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Thank you.